Teams are ready. Manchester City, sky blue shirts, white shorts, dark blue socks. And the visitors, the Belgian champions, Club Brugge, who are unbeaten in their last 20 matches in all competitions. They've not lost in their last 4 in the Champions League. They kick off the match. The referee's from Spain, Jose Maria Sanchez, in his bright orange shirt. And the ball is played back to Mekela, who drives it away downfield and out of play for a throw into Manchester City. The City team tonight, Marmoush and Kusanov and Vitores as well. They can't play, the new signings. They would be available in the knockout stages. So 2 changes for City from the weekend in the Premier League, with De Bruyne and Stones coming in for the new signings. And Bruges with the ball at the back. This is a fearsome press from Manchester City that Bruges are trying to play around. They're a very youthful team. They've got nice experience in there as well, with the captain, Hans van Aken, and Mignolet, the goalkeeper, who you'll remember from Liverpool and Sunderland. But it is Bruges just playing it up towards the halfway line with Solis, the Greek international, but Manchester City have got it back. City with Ederson in goal, Stones, Akanji and Gvardiol, Kovacic and Gundogan, Mateus Nunes again on the right, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden and Erling Haaland. And Manchester City still in possession. So the Bruges side in full, Mignolet in goal, Seyss, Ordonez, Mekela and De Kuyper are the back 4. Then Onyedika and Yashari in the middle, with Van Aken the captain, Talbi on the right, Solis on the left and Jutla through the middle. And it is Manchester City 0, Club Brugge 0, and we're still waiting for the first goal of the night. The 4 matches tonight in the Women's FA Cup, by the way, they stand at Brighton 3, Durham 0, Everton 0, Tottenham 0, Arsenal 2, Bristol City 0 and West Ham 0, Liverpool 1. But Manchester City on the attack, down the right-hand side. Manchester City, who find themselves in 25th place in the table coming into tonight. It's 25th against 20th. And the cross from De Bruyne from the right-hand side into the Bruges box is cleared away towards Solis, who has it on the edge of the area, the Greek international who played in the recent matches against England in the autumn. Solis, he is also their top scorer with 12 goals this season. And here he is, latching onto a ball over the top on the halfway line. There's only Gvardiol back. Solis into the penalty area, pulls it across, and the shot centrally from Talbi was blocked by the defender. Still Solis though in the area, and his shot is blocked by Gvardiol. Just one pass, is he? One pass flicked on the halfway line and Bruges were in. Yeah,
there was a misunderstanding between Mateus Nunes and Akanji, who both went up for the header, the long ball. They're just having a bit of dialogue right now, figuring out whose job it was. But as that ball progressed in behind, Pep Guardiola just turned to his left and he had his head in his hands, because he knew that was a massive opportunity for Bruges to score on the counter-attack.
Yeah, but the defenders were able to get back, so it remains Manchester City 0, Bruges 0. Club Bruges, if they win or if they draw, that will be them through. And they'll have knocked out Manchester City effectively. But if Bruges lose, then they have to look over their shoulders. They have the possibility of being knocked out themselves tonight. City coming forward, that's a nice touch by Stones. Bernardo Silva now on the right-hand side, but he runs into De Kuyper, who's able to come out with the ball, and they will run it away with Yashari, who plays it up to Solis, and then Van Aken through to Jutla. This is nice from Bruges. And an early goal at Villa Park, Chris Coles.
What a start for Villa. Villa 1, Celtic 0. Rodgers taps it in as it stands. Villa into the top 8. Villa 1, Celtic 0.
And that does take Aston Villa into the top 8 positions. But that is the first of what will be many goals tonight. Just looking at the various tables to see if they have all updated themselves. In the FA Cup, the Women's FA Cup, Arsenal now lead 3-0 against Bristol City. Blackstenius has got a second goal of the night. And indeed, yes, Aston Villa would be in 5th place in the table were the matches to finish as they were now, which would be a bit of a shock if 17 finished 0-0 and 1 finished 1-0. But 0-0 it is. Here's De Bruyne on the right-hand side. Plays it down into the full-back position. Bernardo Silva is onto this. And Liverpool now 2-0 up in the FA Cup, with Leanne Kiernan scoring the second goal. John Bennett, what news?
Inter Milan have taken the lead in their game. An early goal for Lautaro Martinez against Monaco. That means, as it stands, Inter in 3rd place. They're getting closer to booking their spot in the top 8 and straight through to the last 16.
Yes, and that would take Arsenal down to 5th and Aston Villa would be 6th. So Villa are leading against Celtic, so that would be Celtic in the playoffs, as we know they are already. The 2 matches next month, the playoffs in February. Here's a long pass over the top for Talby to chase for Bruges. Talby has got it over there on the far side, but Guardiola. But Talby does get the cross in, but Ederson is able to cross it, and there has been another goal at Villa Park. Chris Coles.
Another for Villa, another for Morgan Rogers. Right foot shot on the edge of the penalty area. They are cementing themselves into the top 8. Villa 2, Celtic 0.
Lille are winning 1-0 against Feyenoord, and Atletico Madrid are winning 1-0 in Salzburg. So that is why Atletico Madrid are up to 4th in the table. It is Manchester City on the attack on the left-hand side with Foden, the in-form Phil Foden, with 6 goals in his last 6 appearances. Manchester City played back to Akanji, hair tied up at the back of his head. And now Mateus Nunes, as the crowd feel that they've got to get behind their side here tonight. I can see 1 or 2 empty seats around the Etihad Stadium, but it's pretty much a full house. And here's Foden on the left-hand side. Foden attacking the byline. Sace is able to get a foot in on that and deflect it behind for the first corner of the match to City.
Yeah, it's a little bit subdued, the atmosphere in here, because Bruges have dropped all the way off and just allowing Manchester City to just build with the centre-backs. Man City fans will know, and many football fans will know, that the role of John Stones tends to alter under Guardiola a little. Tonight he's been pushed into midfield alongside Kovacic, which is just allowing City to just dominate in that Bruges half.
Yeah, they've missed that. One of the things they've missed this season, but they've got it tonight. So it's a corner for Manchester City that Foden takes towards Akanji. It's actually a Bruges head that gets to its first. It's the masked head of Michaela, and now Kovacic picks up possession for Manchester City. PSG have scored. Stuttgart 0, PSG 1, and of course PSG, if you were listening last week, you'll know that they came into tonight in danger of perhaps being eliminated, but Bradley Barcola scoring the early goal and PSG leading in Germany against Stuttgart. Manchester City continue to build inside the Bruges half. Foden brings it back in towards Kovacic, and then John Stones back to Akanji. Bruges have got everyone behind the ball. An interesting mix. They are young players and old. There's 2 19-year-olds, a 20-year-old and 2 22-year-olds in this Bruges starting lineup, as well as the experienced players. Bernardo Silva now towards the byline on the right-hand side. Bernardo Silva pulling it back onto his left foot. He's been very closely followed by the defender De Kuyper. Comes back centrally to Akanji, now to Guardiola on the left-hand side. Foden is there as well. Bruges are pinned right back in here in the early stages. Square back centrally again to Akanji. Akanji then chips it back out to Foden, takes it down, gets it under control against the blonde-haired right-back Sace. And then City will go back again and try to get it towards the right-hand side. Bayern Munich have taken the lead against Slovan Bratislava. Thomas Muller has scored that goal for Bayern Munich, who came into tonight in 15th place in the table. So that could bring Bayern Munich, it does, up to 10th place in the table. So that is into the top half of the playoff places. So they would be seeded for the playoff draw, which is on Friday at 11 a.m. Here is De Bruyne. Bernardo Silva back centrally towards John Stones. Stones then back to Mateus Nunes. Here's the ball into the penalty area, but that's headed down in a way by Michaela, who has to just adjust his headband, his face mask, after heading that away. Bernardo Silva again. This is relentless pressure from Manchester City. It's angled back to Mateus Nunes. In fact, Bernardo Silva nips in front of him. Bernardo Silva leaves it for Kovacic. Kovacic 30 yards out, square to Mateus Nunes. Brugge are just saying to Manchester City, come on then, are you going to find a way through?
Yeah, I think I've said this to Ian Dennis before on 5 Live at an England game, friendly against Finland, where Finland were reduced to basically a 40 by 40 metre square to defend in, and that is exactly what Brugge are doing.
burst from Foden down the left, deep cross, headed back by Haaland, now clear to the edge of the penalty area, but then the offside flag goes up, and there's a bit of relief for Bruges there, a bit of a breather for them, a free kick that they've got.
Yeah, they're not covering huge amounts of spaces, but lots of small distances, in and out, getting their structure nice and tight. City are really struggling to play through them down the middle, and Bruges are just really happy for City to just circulate side to side. Bernardo Silva getting a lot of the ball already on that right-hand side.
So 0-0 here, which is not good enough for Manchester City, but still early days. However, here comes Jutgla. Ball out to the right-hand side, Talby's ball in, that's cleared away by Akanji. Yes, 0-0 here, 5 Live and BBC Sounds, as Talby takes it on down the right. Deep, high cross to the back post, but Ederson's underneath that and is able to catch it quite comfortably. Aston Villa leading by 2-0 against Celtic, the 2 early goals from Morgan Rogers. So right now, Aston Villa would be in the round of 16. They would be going straight through to the round of 16 in March. They're in 6th place in the table. Still Girona 0, Arsenal 0. So Arsenal currently in 5th place in the live table, and still PSV 0, Liverpool 0, and Liverpool needing just the point to be the number 1 seeds in the knockout stages. De Bruyne plays it into the penalty area for the run of Gundogan, who is leaned into by Michela, but even though 1 or 2 supporters were wondering about a penalty, the referee is certainly not interested.
Yeah, it's a good forward run from Gundogan. We've seen him do that many a time over the years, but just going back to Bruges and the way that they're playing, they're just dropping right off, which almost makes Haaland surplus to requirement unless the ball is crossed into the box and then he needs to come alive. But he is almost redundant in this game if Bruges continue to drop off.
I'm not sure how many touches of the ball he's had so far. He had that one header back, didn't he? At the back post, Erling Haaland. Arsenal now winning 4-0 against Bristol City in the Women's FA Cup. Beth Mead with that one, and Everton 1, Tottenham 0. Manchester City, low cross from the left-hand side from De Bruyne, and that is cleared away by Ordonez, the Ecuadorian central defender, into the stand. Corner taken quickly by Manchester City, and then driven in by De Bruyne. That was blocked, deflected away, deflected back to Mateus Nunes. Mateus Nunes drives it on towards the byline on the right-hand side, gets it back left-footed to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva leaves it to Mateus Nunes, and then back further to Akanji. See the coach, Nicky Hyen, just stepping forward. No coat for him tonight, dark blue suit here in Manchester. Before he did this job, he was coach of Haverfordwest County, the first Belgian to coach in the Welsh Premier League. Only briefly, and now here he is in the Champions League, as De Bruyne plays the ball back towards the left-hand side. Foden in the full-back position. Foden takes on Seist as well, plays it back. It was a little short, the pass, and Bruges are very relieved just to whack it downfield.
Been on many a family holiday to Haverfordwest or nearby.
Have you?
Beautiful part of the world, may I add, Pembrokeshire.
Pembrokeshire. Spent some of the happiest years of my life in Pembrokeshire, in Dyfed actually, to be precise, which is where I was in my university days. Manchester City 0, Club Brugge 0. Atletico Madrid now winning 2-0 in Salzburg, so that strengthens their position in the top 8. And Monaco are down to 10 men in San Siro, where Inter are leading by 1-0. Mawissa has been sent off. Manchester City, edge of the penalty area. Foden shoots from the angle, but even though he hit that extremely well, there was some power behind that. It flashed wide.
Yeah, absolutely, reminding us that Phil Foden's on the pitch. He gets the ball, shifts it onto his left foot, onto the on the corner of the box. It's worth an effort because the gap had opened up, but we hadn't mentioned Phil Foden's name until just then.
So it is Manchester City 0, Club Brugge 0. Where should we go next for news? Let's get an update from John Bennett, who's keeping across, I don't know how many screens, John, in the studio with you?
About 5 screens, but just to confirm that scoreline, Red Bull Salzburg 0, Atletico Madrid 2. Antoine Griezmann with the goal. That strengthens their grip on a place in the top 8. They're 4th as it stands. They're one of the teams that Aston Villa could do with slipping up.
But Aston Villa still in 6th place in the table with the scores as they are. Right now, the top 8 would be Liverpool and Barcelona, who are guaranteed to be the top to go through to the round of 16. Then it's Inter, Atletico Madrid, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Milan and Lille. Back to Villa, Chris Coles.
Villa still leading Celtic by 2-0. Those 2 quick-fire Morgan Rogers goals, but Celtic offering a threat. Nicholas Kuhn has just fired wide with his left foot. Villa 2, Celtic 0.
What's happening with Liverpool? Conor McNamara is monitoring it.
PSV 0, Liverpool 0. This young Liverpool team, 4 players aged 21 or under. Chiesa has had a shot saved. PSV had a penalty appeal, but VAR said no foul. Liverpool on target to top the group. PSV 0, Liverpool 0.
Another dangerous looking Brugge attack. They are sharp on the counter-attack, but Solis, that's a poor ball from him.
Yeah.
Effectively like a back pass for Ederson to pick up, is he?
That's exactly it. But they have looked quite threatening in the wide areas, and that was something which was a threat of Bruges. You know, leading into this game, the wide players do have the capacity to cause Manchester City problems, and they've certainly looked lively so far.
So Connor is monitoring Liverpool. John Southall is doing likewise with Arsenal.
Whereas Girona 0, Arsenal 0, but Arsenal have had a goal disallowed. Calafiori again on the left of the area into the bottom right corner, but disallowed for offside. Girona 0, Arsenal 0, Arsenal 5th as we stand.
Lille and Feyenoord now level at 1-1. They are just below the automatic places. Here's Mateus Nunes now, drives it across. Goalkeeper Mignolet goes down, gets 2 hands to that, blocked it away, it was cleared away, only to De Bruyne, left-footed ball into the penalty area. That is headed away, but not clear of the area, comes back, Gundogan, right foot, bottom corner, but the offside flag's up, and the goal is ruled out, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, they're getting closer and closer now, Manchester City. Firstly, Mateus Nunes getting in down that right-hand side, underlapping Bernardo Silva, fizzes a cross in, second phase comes out, and it's a clever little header from Bernardo Silva into the path of Ilkay Gundogan. He strokes it into the far corner, but like you say, John, offside.
Yep, so it is still Manchester City 0, Bruges 0, and we're through the first 15 minutes. As you say, you've just seen a replay there. Right decision, is it?
Oh yes, offside, yeah, but lovely finish nonetheless, but doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Gundogan's 2 goals since his return so far have been in the Champions League, but not yet tonight. And with now 16 minutes played, Manchester City 0, Bruges 0. As Izzy says, it does feel that City are getting closer, but this scoreline is not enough. If you've just joined us on 5 Live, Manchester City must win this match tonight. It is the proverbial must-win match, otherwise Manchester City, who started out as one of the favourites to win the Champions League for the second time in 3 seasons it would be. This is the team that's been in the final in 2 of the last 4 seasons. With this scoreline, they would be going out. Juventus 0, Benfica 1. So Benfica, who are in danger down in the lower reaches of the playoff positions, taking the lead at Juventus, and Manchester City in possession just forward of the centre circle with Akanji. Benfica, that would take them up to 16th and comfortable in the playoff positions. But Bernardo Silva and Manchester City have resumed the pattern. Inter now 2-0 up on 10-man Monaco, so that strengthens Inter's position in 3rd place in the table. Inter would be heading through, so they're in a very strong position now, 2-0 up against Monaco. Borussia Dortmund have scored against Shakhtar Donetsk. Shakhtar Donetsk are one of the teams in the elimination places, just like Manchester City, but they need a win tonight, and they are 1-0 down. Manchester City with Akanji, 25 yards out, turns, rolls it into the path of Phil Foden. Foden, of his 10 goals this season now, double figures again for Manchester City. 3 have been in the Champions League. Poor touch from Mateus Nunes, but he's able to recover and just poke it away from Solis, and he gets it back from De Bruyne, and his pass into the penalty area is cut out by Michaela, and then he's able to play it out off Bernardo Silva for a throw for the Belgians.
Yeah, Mateus Nunes is actually getting a lot of the ball in this first half. He's finding himself not pressed. He's got time to pick out his passes, but because of Bruges' positioning, they're so deep, so compact, it's actually really difficult for him to pick out a clean pass, and he was just trying to force it through there into, I think it was Gundogan had made the forward run, but they're just struggling to find that opening right now, City.
They are. City, who had gone 52 matches here, 52 matches in all competitions without losing outright. Yes, they went out of the Champions League on penalties here last season, if you remember, in the quarter-finals. But then there came the defeat to Tottenham, since lost the Manchester derby, so not infallible. However, they are very much in charge, but it is 0-0. Back to the studio, John Bennett.
And another goal for Paris Saint-Germain. Stuttgart 0, Paris Saint-Germain 2, so they look as though they're firmly in the playoffs. But this is a key goal for Aston Villa. Dinamo Zagreb 1, AC Milan 0. AC Milan, one of the teams that Aston Villa were looking at above them, hoping they would slip up. Dinamo Zagreb 1, AC Milan 0.
Thank you, John. Manchester City still 0-0 here. Promising move for them just while we're getting that update, but it didn't result in an attempt on goal.
Yeah, Brugge getting a little bit confident there, playing out from the back. City reading it, pressing high. Foden wins it. They fizz it out to the right, and it's Haaland peeling off at the back post. He tries to head it back across goal, but that's where he needs to come alive, and we know he will. But apart from that, he's not touched the ball often.
Cross from the left-hand side for Manchester City, but it bounces over everyone and out into the full-back position on the opposite side. Yes, interesting for Dinamo Zagreb. That would take them out of the elimination places, leading by 1-0 against Milan. And Milan now dropped to 10th in the table. So right now Manchester City have actually dropped a place down to 26th. Stuttgart and Manchester City would both be heading out of the competition. But here's De Bruyne, hits a shot, actually hits the back of Michela, who felt that. He turns away and he puts his two hands up in the small of his back. It was hit with power by De Bruyne, but he blocked it.
Yeah, he caught it really well, De Bruyne, coming in on that left foot, catches it really well. And Michela, the centre-back, he took that right in the chest. He's also wearing a mask, isn't he? A face mask. I might have to borrow your binoculars, John, but you can see there,
yes,
here from a distance, he's wearing a face mask as well. He's a hard nut.
Yes, he's been wearing it for a little while now. He's wearing it against Juventus last week. Don't forget, they drew with Juventus. Manchester City have lost to Juventus in this competition this season. Here's Foden bringing it in from the left. Then Gvardiol. De Bruyne appears on the left-hand side. De Bruyne takes on Says. Left-footed cross towards the back post, but that is headed away by De Kuyper, the left back. And now Bruges off on one of their breaks with Yashari, but Manchester City deal with that very, very effectively. Kovacic and City have got it back.
Yeah, I really like the look of Yashari, central midfielder for Bruges, playing in that deeper role. But that was brilliant by Kovacic as Yashari broke away with the ball at speed. Kovacic was equal to it. Brilliant recovery run, winning the ball back and setting City back up on the attack.
Yes, the black-haired Yashari, the Swiss international, he's one of the youngsters, just signed a new contract last week. Bernardo Silva, Foden on the edge of the area, bounces away, actually off defender Michela and through to Mignolet, who's able to come out and gather it. Sporting 0, Bologna 1. So Bologna, who cannot go through, winning against Sporting, who are in danger, and that drops them down a place to 24th. So that is the last place where you would qualify for the knockout stages. The top 24 go through.
That's the one that Joe Hart was immensely interested in, wasn't it? Wonder how Joe Hart's reacting to that goal in that game.
We'll find out later. He'll be with Stephen Warnock and Julien Laurent and our own Mark Chapman. Well, they're all our own, of course, aren't they? All of them. On Match of the Day tonight after the news, as Bruges play it back towards the edge of their own penalty area. Ordóñez over there towards the far side as it breaks down. De Bruyne's got it back for Manchester City to Bernardo Silva with a left foot shot, which he didn't connect as he would have liked to at all. And that has that been given as a corner?
It has, yes.
He mishit it.
Yeah, it's a corner. It actually took a deflection.
Did it?
But that's, again, Manchester City's best moments have come from winning the ball back from Bruges. They've been struggling to break them down.
I'm not sure that did take it. It took a deflection off Haaland. Yeah. And that they've been given a corner here, Manchester City. In fact, the referee's had to think about it. And clearly the assistant has spoken to him.
Yeah.
And they have said, actually, it's not. It's a goal kick.
Yeah, and the referee's just gestured a thumbs up at his assistant. You know what? I like that because had City scored from that corner, we've seen it a few times already this season in the Premier League, decisions,
after the event
interesting decisions.
After the events of last weekend, it's always worth bearing in mind, the referees and the assistant, it's what they see. as Haaland plays it through. De Bruyne blasts it, but hits it high, and it's bobbing around in amongst all of the heads in the south stand, and it's a goal kick to Bruges, and it remains 0-0. So where are we going next? Back to Villa Park, Chris Coles.
Where it remains Villa 2, Celtic 0. Villa firmly in control of this match. They're pushing for a third. They're heading straight through to the round of 16 in 6th as it stands.
What about Barcelona, Atalanta? John Akers.
Barcelona 0, Atalanta 0. So Atalanta in 7th, one place behind Aston Villa, but on top here, Barcelona 2nd as it stands, 3 points behind Liverpool, 0-0.
Pep Guardiola has just run into the Bruges coaching area to pick up the ball and has apologised to everyone.
Yeah, well, the ball went out of play, bounced over the Bruges manager, and Guardiola left his technical area to go and retrieve the ball with speed because he knows the context of the game. And he ended up throwing the ball back in play and hitting the Bruges manager and went over to apologise.
Hit him on the back. In the FA Cup, Liverpool now winning 2-0 at West Ham, who've had a player sent off. So West Ham 0, Liverpool 2. Manchester City going to go and hear about Real Madrid shortly, but City building again. Akanji out to the left-hand side. It's a little frustrating, I think, Izzy, for Manchester City, but it's not worrying yet.
Yeah, we touched on it with Statman Dave in the studio just before kick-off about how Bruges might approach this, and they've dropped off, and what it's doing is it's just denying Manchester City lots of space to play in, and at the moment they haven't found the right key to unlock the defence.
Here's John Stones to De Bruyne, who is very mobile tonight, isn't he? Central most of the time, but he's been on the left, he's been on the right, and now Mateus Nunes will go back towards the halfway line. So let's see what's happening between Brest and the holders, Real Madrid. Julia Bold.
It's Brest 0, Real Madrid 0. It feels like it could go either way. As it stands, Brest are 14th, Real Madrid 15th, but no goals to tell you about so far.
Right now, Liverpool still 0-0, but still topping the table. So Liverpool in top spot, Barcelona second, Inter would be in third, Arsenal are in fifth, and Aston Villa in 6th with the scores as they are. And it would be Celtic in the playoffs, Manchester City going out with this scoreline. But John Stones, who's almost on the left wing now, plays it back to Foden. Gvardiol's got involved. Bruges have got everyone back, everyone behind the ball. Kovacic, here's Haaland in the D, trying to find a position, gives it to Foden. Foden's ball across, but Mignolet falls forwards and catches the ball.
Yeah, well, Haaland came alive then because like we said, he's been a little bit redundant, but it came from a surge of pace from Kovacic just driving through that midfield. He added a little intensity into the way he fizzed the ball into Haaland, who spun round and tried to feed Foden, and the ball was eventually cut out. But a bit sharper from City, that was indeed.
Yes, here's Gvardiol, who recaptures possession as Manchester City start again, playing the ball from left to right. Pep Guardiola stalks around. He's got one of those long hooded coats on tonight, sort of jacket cum coat, as Gundogan keeps his feet and plays it back to the halfway line. Guardiola claps his hands. There is a penalty in the Liverpool match, Conor McNamara.
And it is a penalty for Liverpool, one in controversial circumstances by Federico Chiesa. But here comes Cody Gakpo against his old team. PSV 0, Liverpool 0, 28 minutes on the clock. Gakpo taking his time, keeper dancing on the line, and then Gakpo scores, puts the keeper the wrong way. Liverpool are heading to win this Champions League group. It's PSV 0, Liverpool 1.
And that would make it a remarkable 8 wins out of 8 for Liverpool. And Liverpool top of the table, and in the round of 16 they will play one of the teams in either 15th, 16th, 17th or 18th. And just out of interest, as Manchester City attack with Foden on the left, plays it back to Kovacic, and then Gundogan just back to Kovacic again. Right now, that would be Liverpool playing either Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, Benfica or Monaco. Ball chipped into the penalty area. Foden bounces up, juggles it, gets it down on the ground. In League 2, it's Barrow 0, Doncaster Rovers 1. That is the only match that is being played in the Football League tonight. If Doncaster win, they'll go second in League Two. Back to the Arsenal match, John Southall.
Girona 1, Arsenal 0. Arnaud Danjuma, the former Tottenham player, has got it. Neto way off his line, and he finished into the bottom right-hand corner. Still OK for Arsenal. They're still fifth, but they trail by a goal to nil.
Yeah, no alarms for Arsenal just yet. A great deal has got to go wrong for Arsenal to miss out. As the ball is played through into the penalty area for Manchester City, Mateus Nunes is after it and is adjudged to have fouled Solis, and it's a free kick to Bruges in their own penalty area. Izzy Christensen.
Yeah, again De Bruyne getting the ball on the corner of the 18-yard box, just looking to sort of tap the ball back into the path of Mateus Nunes, who's just arrived into that space, but he did end up pulling the defender back, and the referee saw it and called for a free kick.
2 goals in just over a minute for Doncaster Rovers. Barrow 0, Doncaster Rovers 2, the latest score in League 2. 0-0 here at the Etihad Stadium on a dry night, a bit of a chill in the air. We did have a drama, if you haven't heard, before the match. There was a fire outside the ground in a merchandise stall, a temporary merchandise stall. The fire brigade came, 2 fire engines, the area was evacuated, and it was a bit of a drama for a little while there. But it was swiftly put out, area was evacuated, and all they did was the various things that happen outside the main entrance, all of those were cancelled this evening, but everything was okay for the match to go ahead, and no one was hurt. Here's De Bruyne, ball on the right hand side. De Bruyne's ball in, deflected, and then Michaela is underneath that to head it away. Stones heads it back down into the Bruges left back area. Bernardo Silva's after this. Still 0-0 here. Manchester City still looking for that first goal, and even though this is a back foot performance from the Belgian champions, they have shown that they can break very quickly. And as we say, they got a clean sheet against Juventus last week.
Yeah, they've looked really good actually at times when breaking out of this sort of defensive structure they're in. I think Jashari, I've got my eyes on him in terms of the way that he's playing. He's covering a lot of ground laterally, but he's also looked really good when Bruges have won the ball back. He's making really good decisions on the ball.
City, Akanji to Foden on the left, Foden taking on Sace, and then back towards Gvardiol, flick from him, but he flicks it straight to Jutla, and Bruges they play it back to Mignolet, who just delays on it but then passes it out safely to Sace. Back to John Bennett, what news?
This is a key goal from the Aston Villa perspective. Bayer Leverkusen have taken the lead against Sparta Prague. It means they're back in the top 8. They're in 6th. Aston Villa dropped to 7th.
So Villa in 7th in the table. Arsenal would still be finishing 5th, even though they are losing by 1-0. So Liverpool winning 1-0, Arsenal losing 1-0, and Aston Villa in charge against Celtic as Bruges bring it forward towards the halfway line with Brandon Michaela, the number 44, the central defender. Then up it goes to Jutla, a touch from Van Aken, the tall Belgian international, the midfielder, the veteran that he is now, having been to World Cup and European Championship finals. Back to Yashari again on the halfway line, and Bruges enjoying a little period of possession here. I mean, it must be 85% possession to Manchester City, at least in this match.
Yeah, it must be something around that, but doing really well in these moments. But this is dangerous. City are not putting full press on because they know there might be a little mistake in Bruges, lulling them into a false sense of security when playing out.
So 0-0 here as the ball bounces through to Ederson, who will gather it now. Back to the Real Madrid match at Brest. Julia Bold.
It's now Brest 0, Real Madrid 1. Rodrigo with the shot into the corner of the net. As it stands, Real are 11th, Brest are 18th. It is Brest 0, Real Madrid 1.
So Real Madrid moving up the table, but still in the playoff positions. But they would be seeded in that position in the draw on Friday, which we will have news of on 5 Live on Friday morning. Celtic definitely in it with the scores as they are. Manchester City going back towards the halfway line. Manchester City going out with these scorelines, and the other 3 English clubs would be going through to the round of 16. Foden crossing, took a deflection, but Michaela was there. It came off the Ecuadorian Ordóñez, but wouldn't fall into the path of Haaland. And Bruges play it forward, and now they are pouring forward here on the left-hand side. Solis has got it. He's looking to his left for De Kuyper. but then just slows it down and plays it back centrally to Yashari. Yashari has some space, just backs away. Brugge in the black shirts with the pinstripes, black shorts, and the blue of Brugge socks. Back it goes to the middle of their half, where Michaela is going to turn it out to Ordóñez, and then back to Mignolet again in the Brugge goal. They've handled themselves well. There's great composure, isn't there? They're playing with confidence on this run of 20 matches without defeat, and they do tend to get a goal. They've scored in 30 of their last 32 matches, and every one of the outfield players in this squad has scored this season. Here is Jucla, who takes it down but can't keep it in on the far side, and it's a throw into Manchester City. Half-time in the Women's FA Cup, Arsenal 4, Bristol City 0. Is it?
Yeah, it's good from Bruges in terms of controlling Manchester City a little. It just absorbs the atmosphere away from the stadium a little bit just as they start to dictate the ball. Mingale's look really good, short and long range passing, and they just look very comfortable. Foden at pace into the penalty area. Defender Ordóñez slides in, the ball bounces behind, and the referee, who is well placed, says it bounced back onto Foden and through for a goal kick. There has been another goal in the Liverpool match. Conor McNamara.
It is an equaliser for PSV Eindhoven. 1-1 here. Bakayoko keeping his composure in the penalty area to slam it past Creevy Kelleher. VAR is going to sign off on it, but there the check is over. Goal stands, PSV 1, Liverpool 1. Liverpool still top for now.
Yeah, that doesn't change Liverpool's position. But PSG having a good night, John Bennett.
Yeah, I think we can safely say Paris Saint-Germain will be in the knockout stages. They'll be in the playoffs. Stuttgart 0, Paris Saint-Germain 3. Ousmane Dembélé with the goal. They're up to 15th now.
Bruges on the attack. De Kuyper, the left back, into the full back position. Squares it to the edge of the box. Solis with a shot. Hits Akanji and very nearly bounced to Talbi. And he's going to allow it to run out towards the right-hand side. Again there, Bruges showing the danger that they hold. Back it comes centrally for Onyedika, who's going to shoot, but he got that all wrong. Well wide and behind for a goal kick. Remains 0-0. Not enough for Manchester City. Back to Villa Park, Chris Coles.
Where Celtic have a goal back. Villa 2, Celtic 1. Cross from the left. Adam Eder taps it in. Villa still going through, but now a little dicier. Villa 2, Celtic 1.
Yes, that makes it just a little more uncomfortable for Aston Villa, who are now in 8th place. With the scores as they are, Aston Villa are in the last of the spots that qualify automatically for the round of 16. Liverpool still top, Arsenal would be finishing 6th, and Aston Villa in 8th. And Atalanta have taken the lead against Barcelona. Barcelona 0, Atalanta 1. News of that from John Akers and what it means, John.
Zappacosta's got it. There is going to be a VAR check for an offside, but it means that Atalanta up into 5th and Barcelona dropped to 3rd. As it stands, Barcelona 0, Atalanta 1.
Kevin De Bruyne took a knock there as he was trying to cross the ball. A long ball played forward for Solis to chase. Ederson, well out of his penalty area, was able to come and take it. And then actually the offside flag is up against Solis. But De Bruyne, when he took that clattering down on the byline, I didn't like the look of that, but he seems okay. And I did worry about Ederson for a moment there as well when he came tearing out.
That's right, and he had to come tearing out because the space in behind, Bruges are looking to exploit it. De Bruyne gets forward, Bruges then start to counter-attack. They just go route one, in the space in behind Matthias Nunes, recognising he's not a natural fullback. Ederson starts to cover him, and he ends up having to pick up the second ball as well, Ederson, in a midfield position. But did he do that well? Absolutely.
The scorelines, by the way, with Inter winning and Barcelona losing, that would be Inter up into 2nd place. So they would be the top 2 seeds, Liverpool and Inter. And that means in this new look format, in the knockout rounds, everyone is seeded like the tennis Grand Slams. So the top 2 cannot meet until the final. So right now that would be Liverpool and Inter. Back to Villa Park, Chris Coles.
Where unbelievably Celtic have equalised. Villa 2, Celtic 2. It's Adam Eder again, firing into the roof of the net at the back post, and Villa Park is stunned. Villa 2, Celtic 2.
Well, that for Aston Villa means that with the scores as they are, they will drop down to 13th. They go to 13th, so Aston Villa now, with that Celtic equaliser, Aston Villa drop out of the top 8. So that is a costly few minutes for Aston Villa to concede the 2 goals for Celtic. That is the match that is on Sports Extra right now. That's your choice of listening tonight. So 5 Live has this match where Manchester City are still 0-0. That's not enough for them. This scoreline, City would be going out. And at Villa Park on Sports Extra, on your digital radio and BBC Sounds, Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton describing that 2-2 draw as it is now. Back to John Southall watching the Arsenal match.
Where Arsenal level, Girona 1, Arsenal 1. Partey went down in the area. Jorginho scored the penalty in the bottom right corner. Second for the club. Arsenal stay 5th in the table. Girona 1, Arsenal 1.
Lille are winning 2-1 against Feyenoord, and that means that Lille jump up into the top 8. They're in 7th position with that. Here come Brugge with Calby cutting in field from the right, but it broke down between him and Van Aken. However, Yashari, as Brugge come again, Yashari is going to try a shot that Ederson goes down and saves to his right. Their first attempt on target, but again the threat.
Yeah, the threat's coming from the wide areas for Brugge. Really, really good direct play. The ball falls into the midfield for Yashari, who just fancies a little pop at goal, catches it really well, fizzes along the wet grass into the hands of Ederson. But Brugge are really growing into this just before half time. Now back to John Akers. You did say that there was a check going on.
Yeah, and Michael Oliver's listened to that check and he's ruled the goal out for offside. So Zappacosta's goal for Atalanta will not stand, which means that Barcelona stay second behind Liverpool and Atalanta clinging on in that 8th spot. Barcelona 0, Atalanta 0.
Aston Villa now out of the top 8 places. De Bruyne slips. That was just at the wrong moment, and Yashari was quickly under the ball, and he plays it forward now for De Kuyper to Van Aken. But the momentum of this Bruges attack slows, and they go back into their own half. In the Women's FA Cup, a goal for Durham. Brighton winning 3-1 against Durham, and more news on Liverpool from Conor McNamara.
Liverpool have taken the lead again, 3 goals in the first half. Now this one for Harvey Elliott after Chiesa's shot was parried by the goalkeeper. Elliott arrives to side foot home. PSV 1, top of the group, Liverpool 2.
And AC Milan are now down to 10 men. They are losing against Dinamo Zagreb, and Milan down to 10 men in that match, and Milan, they would be missing out on a place in the top 8, so Milan would be in the playoffs, and Dinamo Zagreb would be also in the playoffs. With that scoreline, Dinamo Zagreb are out of the elimination places. Manchester City 0-0 with Bruges. 5 Live from the BBC, and Manchester City, who've huffed and puffed really in the first half, have lacked that final bit of quality.
They have indeed. They haven't really created anything clear. They've without a doubt dominated the ball, but Bruges, like I said, have really grown into this in the just before half time. My bad.
Another goal in the Arsenal match, John Southall.
Brilliant goal as well. Girona 1, Arsenal 2. 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri on the edge of the penalty area, curled it into the bottom left-hand corner. First Champions League goal. Girona 1, Arsenal 2.
And that's Arsenal up to 3rd place in the table, leading as they are in Spain against Girona. John Bennett has further news.
Lille 2-1 up against Feyenoord. We didn't really expect this, but at the moment they are in the top 8. They are in 7th place, but that's one of the teams that Aston Villa could overtake if they take the lead again. Lille 2, Feyenoord 1.
Sturm Graz have taken the lead against Leipzig, but that's one of the 2 matches that doesn't have anything riding on it tonight. They both cannot progress. We don't need to dwell on that one, Izzy. 0-0 here with Akanji on the ball. 90 seconds of the first half to go, and the longer it goes on like this, you know how it works, Izzy? The more nervous it's going to become.
The tenser it gets. You can feel it sort of seeping out of the crowd a little bit. I know we've got our headphones on, but the atmosphere has been really subdued. The City fans are sort of waiting, and it's because of the way that Bruges have set up. They've dropped right off, stopped City from penetrating them in behind. and now they're just in this comfortable position while City circulate the ball around the box. They're just happy filling spaces.
Here's Kovacic. He's going to have a little go to the edge of the area. Turns it to Gundogan. Gundogan turns, but the shot was blocked by Yashari, and it bounces away. And the black shirts of Bruges pour forward once more. Van Aken now to Jutla. Jutla brilliantly beats Matheus Nunes. He's away now. He's into the penalty area. There are defenders back. He crosses it, and Onyedika has scored. It's 1-0 to Bruges. Right foot shot, flash past Ederson from 12 yards, and the shock is on. The Belgian champions are in front here at the Etihad. They're winning 1-0, and Manchester City are facing the unthinkable prospect of going out tonight. Manchester City 0, Club Brugge 1.
Well, you can be in all the control you want, but if you get caught on the counter-attack like that, that is exhibit A of how to play counter-attacking football from Bruges. They're so compact, so tight. They win the ball back in midfield, and they just progress the ball. They're targeting Matheus Nunes. They get him 1v1. He dives in, the space is in behind, and then he just fizzes it across. It lands into the path, and what a finish! What a finish that is. He slams it past Ederson, and that's a fully deserved goal.
He caught that beautifully. Onyedika, the Nigerian international, on his right foot. Just perfect, really. And even though Ederson got a hand to it, got the tips of his gloves to it, couldn't keep it out. And so Manchester City now, this match that they have to win, with half-time just a few seconds away, Manchester City are losing it.
Yeah, it's going to get really, really tense inside here. The Bruges fans over there to our right are going absolutely nuts. The noise is coming from that end. And guess what? Bruges are just going to drop off again and wait for City to break them, because they can't.
So, Manchester City 0, Club Bruges 1. Bruges have never won in England in European competitions, but they're winning tonight as the cross from Bernardo Silva is far too close to Mignolet. And the Bruges supporters in that corner, as the half-time whistle goes, their coach Nicky Hyen turns, claps his hands together. What a goal that! And talk about scoring a goal at the right time. Well, Manchester City, who were frustrated but in control, well now they are facing the prospect of an exit. Izzy Christiansen.
Yeah, like I said, it's a very, very good first half from Bruges. I think if the manager had written down in a timeline of the first 45 of how he wanted it to go, that would have been exactly it. It was to catch Manchester City on the counter-attack, drop right off them, wait for the mistake and punish them, and that's exactly what they've done.
Yep, the goal from Rafael Onyedika coming in the 45th minute. They've soaked up all of the pressure. Really very little in terms of clear goal-scoring opportunities. Gundogan had the ball in the net, but that was offside. And the threat from Bruges on the counter was always there, and so it proved.
Absolutely. Talbi has been unbelievable in behind Guardiola. The pace, the threatening pace that they've got has just made Manchester City a little bit wary, and they have definitely targeted Matheus Nunes at right back. Just knowing he's not 100% comfortable in that role, they've targeted him, and it's worked.
Well, Manchester City, they have got a very big second half coming up here, because at the break here at the Etihad Stadium, a rather shocked Etihad Stadium, apart from one corner of Belgians, it is Manchester City 0, Club Brugge 1.
And Izzy, we talked pre-match, didn't we, about the plan that Bruges may try and execute, and whether they get caught between doing two things. Well, they haven't.
That's exactly it, chappers. They've dropped right off. We've seen this week on week in the Premier League. Teams just going, right, how do we beat Manchester City today? Right, we're going to drop off, stop them playing in the spaces, and we're going to catch them on the counter and hope that our quick players are functioning and that we can find a goal from something. And that goal, that strike from Onyedika was absolutely fantastic. It was ruthless, it was clinical, and it couldn't have come at a better time.
OK, there's so much going on at the moment. There are still games going on. City, one of the first to reach the half-time interval. As things stand, and bearing in mind the games are still going on as we approach half-time, but just as things stand, Liverpool are winning it at the moment. They will finish first. You've got three teams level on 19 points, Barcelona, Arsenal and Inter, and they are in that order at the moment because of goal difference, although Arsenal are winning in Spain against Girona. Barcelona are being held at home by Atalanta. Such is the crazy nature of the final day of this Champions League group stage. Aston Villa went from being in the top 8 and qualifying automatically to 13th in the blink blink of an eye with those two Celtic goals. Villa 2, Celtic 2. Villa down in 13th at the moment. Celtic would finish 19th. Paris Saint-Germain demolishing Stuttgart at the moment. They would qualify. The final qualification place at the moment is going to Sporting. They're level on points with Stuttgart. They both have 10, but Sporting have the better goal difference. City 26th. If they turn it round against Bruges, remember they have to win. If they win, they will still qualify. At the moment, they are 26, as we said at the start of that roundup. Liverpool are winning this Champions League group stage. They'll have won 7 and drawn 1 because PSV have equalised. Conor McNamara.
Yes, it's just about to blow for half-time. PSV 2, Liverpool 2. There's no great jeopardy for Liverpool tonight. We know they're going through regardless. The only question is if they top the group or finish second. But what an exciting first half this has been, especially a 17-minute spell where we've had 4 goals scored. Cody Gakpo back playing against his old team, back in his hometown, gave Liverpool the lead midway through the first half. PSV level through Johan Bakayoko. Good finish into the bottom corner. Then Elliott, after Chiesa's shot was parried, Harvey Elliott was there to tuck away. But Saibari, with the game still playing here ahead of half-time, has made it PSV 2, Liverpool 2.
And half-time whistle has gone at Villa. As I said, they drop from qualifying automatically to 13th and having to go through the playoffs. The ridiculous thing, Chris Coles, is they score again and retake the lead. They'll be back in the top 8.
And this is why this final night has been such a fascinating listen. You're right, Villa went from as high as 5th to 13th when Celtic hit them with their own 2-minute blitz as Adam Eder scored to make it 2-2, and that after Villa were 2-0 up in the first 5 minutes. 2 Morgan Rogers goals, a tap-in from a Jacob Ramsey cross, followed by a fine hit from the edge of the area that screamed past Kasper Schmeichel in the Celtic goal. And Villa really were cruising, had chances for 3-0, lost concentration, the 2 Adam Eder goals, and Villa Park is a quiet place. They have work to do. They will still fancy their chances, but as scores as they are, Villa heading into the playoffs. Villa 2, Celtic 2.
Said there would be late goals, and not all the half-time whistles have gone. There's another one in Eindhoven. Conor McNamara.
Incredible. PSV 3, Liverpool 2. Pepe with the goal. 5 goals in this bonkers first half. PSV 3, Liverpool 2. VAR still looking though.
OK, Liverpool is still, VAR still looking whether that PSV goal stands. Liverpool would still be winning this. They'd still finish first because Barcelona are being held by Atalanta. John Bennett, I think you're keeping an eye on the games that are affecting Aston Villa and whether they will get into the top 8 or not.
Yeah, there's a few scores not going their way. There's one going their way. Let's start with the ones that are not going their way. Inter 2-0 up against Monaco, so their place in the top 8 looking secure. Atletico Madrid 3-0 up against Red Bull Salzburg. 2 goals from Antoine Griezmann. Again, their place in the top 8 looking secure. They're 5th at the moment. Bayer Leverkusen 1-0 up against Sparta Prague. Florian Wirtz with the goal. So they're in 6th place. But the scoreline going for Aston Villa is Dinamo Zagreb 1, AC Milan 0. Baturina with the goal. And AC Milan down to 10 men as well. So AC Milan started in the top 8. They're down to 12th. That's great news for Aston Villa. But the surprise mark in the top 8, I'm sure you've seen this, Lille suddenly are there. So they had to win and hope that 3 teams, 9th or above them, drew or lost. And they're doing their job. They're 2-1 up in their game against Feyenoord. And at the moment, Lille are in the top 8. But if Aston Villa take the lead in their game, their goal difference is better than Lille, and they would go above Lille into the top 8.
Well, one of the reasons why it can't escape my notice is the fact that we've got 18 monitors, so all games are on in the Match of the Day office. The second reason why you can't escape what they're doing is because of a very excitable Frenchman alongside me, in Julien Laurent. Let's deal with Lille against Feyenoord first then.
Yeah, great result so far. It's only half-time, obviously, but a Lille team that has rotated quite massively as well for this game. No Jonathan David, for example. They without their captain, who's suspended Benjamin André, so it's not even Lille's strongest 11, and yet they are controlling this first half pretty well against Feyenoord, who've lost their striker Santi Jimenez, who had to come off in their first half injured. But for Lille, it will be again the end of this incredible league phase where they beat Atletico Madrid, they beat Real Madrid, they drew with Juventus, they were outstanding really all along, and that would just like put the final touch really to almost a perfect league phase.
And as you're sitting here next to me, let's do Paris Saint-Germain, who've come a bit late to this Champions League party, but after the impressive comeback last week against Manchester City, they have demolished Stuttgart in that first half.
Super impressive. And you sat next to me here in the green room at the match of the day, next to match of the studio, so I know you've watched it too with me. And
well, it's impossible not to, because that's the only game you're looking at.
You've said to me there's other games. I know, but obviously this one, outstanding first half. That front three of Doué, Dembélé and Barcolas tore apart the Stuttgart defence. Donnarumma made a really good save at a key moment when it was just 1-0 up, and after that on the counter PSG went and scored the second one. But really they continued what they showed in that second half against City last week.
They are 16th at the moment, our Paris Saint-Germain. Club Brugge in 15th because they lead at the Etihad by a goal to nil. Let me give you what the top 8 is. As things stand, remember the top 8 goes straight through to the last 16. So Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter, Atletico, Bayer Leverkusen, Lille and Atalanta. Then, as we drop into 9 to 24, I will do that shortly. Arsenal do have a chance of top 2, and they've fought their way back in Spain against Girona. John Southall.
They have Girona 1, Arsenal 2. Bizarre opening goal for Girona. Not sure what Neto was thinking on his Arsenal debut. Inexplicably raced out of his area to the on-rushing Dan Juma, who slotted it past him. Neto tried to save it at full stretch. If he touched it, he'd have been sent off. Jorginho with the equaliser from the penalty spot. Then 3 minutes before half-time, 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri into the D, curled it into the bottom left-hand corner. What a moment for him. His first Champions League goal. Trossard also hit the bar, but at half-time, Girona 1, Arsenal 2, and as you said, Arsenal sitting pretty in third at the moment and could still finish second depending on Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona, who are currently drawing with Atalanta, and they may be a little bit fortunate, John Akers.
Yeah, because Atalanta have had a goal ruled out for offside by the VAR. Michael Oliver making the shout on that one, or giving the decision on that one. He's the on-field referee. It was tight as to whether it came off a Barcelona defender or an Atalanta player for the offside. They looked at it for quite a long time, but 0-0 as it stands. Not a classic. 3 attempts on goal for each team. Atalanta have had the better chances, but Barcelona currently second then on 19 points, and Atalanta clinging on to 8th. It's Barcelona 0, Atalanta 0.
Half-time whistle has gone in Eindhoven. PSV 3, Liverpool 2 at the break. Brest Real Madrid next. Julia Bolt.
Yes, it is Brest 0, Real Madrid 1. The only goal in it so far, Rodrigo's low shot into the corner, and the post helped ping it into the back of the net. And since then, you would say they've started to go up the gears, but both sides have had 2 shots on target each so far. As it stands then, Real Madrid up to 11th, Brest down to 21st, and we kicked off late on this one because the pitch completely filled up with smoke thanks to the amount of flares being set off from the visiting fans. But we're now at the break. It's Brest 0, Real Madrid 1.
John has given you most of the scores, but other half-times, the ones I don't think he has given you. Borussia Dortmund lead Shakhtar Donetsk by 2 goals to 0. Bayern are a goal up on Slovan Bratislava. It's Juventus 0, Benfica 1. Sturm Graz 1, Leipzig 0, Sporting 0, Bologna 1, and Young Boys 0, Red Star 0. I've given you the top 8. Let me just give you 9 to 24. So Borussia Dortmund would be in 9th, Bayern 10th, Real Madrid in 11th, Milan would finish 12th as things stand, Villa 13th, PSV 14th, Bruges 15th and Paris Saint-Germain 16th. Then you've got Benfica, Feyenoord and Monaco. Celtic are in 20th as things stand. Brest in 21st. Juventus 22nd. Dinamo Zagreb 23rd. And Sporting 24th. So those teams that are on the cusp, Stuttgart, Manchester City, they are the ones who would still have a chance of trying to make it in. Then you have Bologna, Shakhtar, Sturm Graz, Red Star, Sparta Prague, Leipzig, Girona, Red Bull Salzburg, young boys who currently would be getting their first point of the evening, and Slovan Bratislava would be the only team at the end of the mammoth group stage who would have played 8 and lost 8. There have been 33 goals in the first half of the final night of the Champions League group stage tonight. I think there's probably more to come. 2 minutes to 9, John Barnes has your news.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Mark. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has told the BBC she wants to see spades in the ground during this Parliament on the infrastructure project she announced in a speech this morning. She backed a third runway at Heathrow, a major redevelopment of Old Trafford, and a new rail line linking Oxford and Cambridge. A group of senior church leaders in Liverpool have said the position of the city's bishop is currently untenable. They've written to the Archbishop of York calling for a full investigation into allegations of sexual misconduct against John Perambalith. The Bishop of Liverpool has been accused of sexual harassment and assault, which he denies. President Trump has said he's ordered the Defense Department to prepare a facility at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba to house illegal migrants. Earlier, the White House said the freeze on hundreds of billions of dollars of federal grants and loans remains in full force, dispelling early reports the move had been rescinded. And a man and a woman have been charged with aggravated trespass after protesters from Just Stop Oil disrupted a performance at a West End theatre on Monday night. 2 people climbed onto the stage midway through The Tempest, starring Sigourney Weaver.
We're celebrating the reggae icon Bob Marley.
Feel like music is family.
Taking you through his era-defining moments.
There's something about Bob. When he opens his mouth, oh my goodness.
Unearthing rare BBC archive and hearing from his loved ones and fans.
You can't make sense of the magnitude of his songs and how far they've travelled.
The world was listening.
Eras Bob Marley. With me, Trevor Nelson. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport.
The Champions League with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
In our 2 big games this evening, Aston Villa and Celtic are level at 2-2. Villa were 2-0 up after 5 minutes. So if you want to listen to that, then that is on Sports Extra with Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton right now. And Villa need 1 goal there, and as things stand, they'd be back into the top 8 and missing this playoff stage and automatically into the last 16. Completely different turn of events at the Etihad, where Manchester City, as things stand, are out of the whole thing. Club Brugge scoring on the stroke of half-time. They lead by a goal to 0. And I just wonder, Izzy Christensen and John Murray, but Izzy first, did you sense an atmosphere change? Because we were talking about it in the office here, and that sort of sense of, from the City point of view, it will come, and yet it hasn't come, and now that atmosphere will change.
That's exactly it. Now there's going to be apprehension, nerves, tension's going to increase, and Bruges are just going to do exactly what they did in the first half, which was sit off, which naturally in a football match drops the intensity of the crowd anyway. But Savinho's come on, and hopefully that'll get people off their feet a little bit. He's just won a corner straight away, so good start by them.
All yours, John.
Thank you, Mark. So here we are. It was the big story in waiting, and it is happening. Manchester City are losing to Bruges, Club Brugge, the Belgian champions. But Savinho is on. He's come on for Gundogan. So there's a bit of a change there. Foden going more central, but Foden to take this corner, which he does, headed out to the edge of the area, but it bounced past Kovacic. It just didn't sit up for him as he would have liked to. So Bruges were able to clear it away. I mean, we're expecting an onslaught, aren't we, Izzy? But at the same time, this threat on the counter that Bruges have, it wouldn't be in the slightest bit surprising if Bruges got a second.
It absolutely wouldn't, and that's what they're going to be waiting for. Manchester City have just picked up again. Stones dropping in, Akanji, Guardiola being those deep players, circulating the ball. Bruges are dropping off right into their own half, and they're just stopping the spaces. And that's why Guardiola's taken Gundogan off and put Savinho on, because now they've got more natural width on this left-hand side. Foden's gone more central, and see if he can find a spark in the central areas.
So if you've just switched on to us on 5 Live, this last night of this Champions League phase, Manchester City in big trouble. Savinho, though, attacking on the right against Seyss, and he wins a corner. Manchester City with Ederson in goal, Stones, Akanji and Guardiola, Kovacic, Bernardo Silva. As the corner comes in, and it's headed wide at the back post by John Stones. Puts his hands on his face. He was on the far side of the 6-yard box, headed it across the goal, but it bounced narrowly wide.
How has he missed? How has he missed? That was almost easier to score than to miss. De Bruyne, a classic ball across, fizzed it in, whips it in, great pace. And you can just see John Stones tries to head it back across goal. That would have been a perfect time to score, but it just goes wide of the post.
Bruges playing it out from the back. The man who scored the goal in the last minute of the first half, the 45th minute, Rafael Onyedika, who was set up by Jutla, who got away from Mateus Nunes. It was an error by Mateus Nunes that led to the Bruges opening goal. But there in the opening minutes of the second half, John Stones, and that's as close as they've come. They had the ball in the net, but Gundogan was in an offside position in the first half. Legitimately, that's the closest Manchester City have come to scoring.
That's right. That's the best chance. It's come from a set piece, or a second phase if you like. It was a fantastic ball in from De Bruyne, and that was the moment just to gather the momentum again in the start of this second half. But now we've gone back to exactly how the first half played out, which was Bruges just dropping off.
That's Izzy Christiansen with me here at the Etihad Stadium. The choice of listening on Sports Extra, Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton commentating on what is now Aston Villa 2, Celtic 2. So Aston Villa are missing out with that scoreline. Villa are finishing in 13th and Celtic in 20th. So they would both be involved in the playoff round next month, and they'd be in the draw on Friday morning to confirm their opponents, whereas Liverpool still top of the table, even though they are losing in the Netherlands 3-2 against the Dutch champions PSV, and Arsenal in third place as Foden, ball into the penalty area, headed across by Gvardiol, the two defenders there, and in the end it was dealt with by the Ecuadorian Ordóñez, who was able to put it out of place. City take a quick throw, attacking towards the end to our left, as there are two balls on the pitch. Bernardo Silva puts the cross in, still two balls on the pitch. They're breaking away though with Solis, Bruges towards the halfway line, and now De Kuyper will go back towards the edge of his own penalty area, and it's coming back to Mignolet, and the referee has to stop the play because there are still two balls on the pitch. In the Women's FA Cup, full-time scores: Brighton have knocked out Durham, Brighton have won 4-1, and Everton have knocked out Tottenham. That is finished 2-0. Arsenal still 5-0 up against Bristol City. West Ham 0, Liverpool 3. Also a latest score. So Liverpool will be going through as number one seeds. Barcelona in second, Arsenal in third. But the big story is right here in front of our eyes. Haaland in the centre circle, gets the ball down, holds off Yashari, finds the pass to De Bruyne. De Bruyne against the Belgians, tried to nutmeg the right back Says, who just managed to get his legs together in time and block it out for a throw. De Bruyne back in business as they take a quick throw. The urgency's there, Izzy, for City. You can see it, can't you?
Yeah, they pick it up, but they're just waiting for Bruges to step out of this defensive structure and put pressure on them. That's actually what they want. They want to be pressed, but they're just being really, really patient. Bruges biding their time.
Savinho takes on Says, but he gets a foot in on that, bounces back to Savinho, that Champions League ball with the stars on it, spinning. You can clearly see it from here as he finds Gvardiol, then Gvardiol back to Stones. Manchester City 1-0 down. Foden now to the right hand side, in comes the cross, but that is cleared away by Michele, out of play for a throw-in near the corner flag on the right hand side. Manchester City on Saturday here against Chelsea had to come from 1-0 down and eventually won it by 3-1. Won it well, really, in the end. But everyone knows the importance of this. It is weighing very heavily on the Etihad Stadium right now, as I see Barcelona have taken the lead against Atalanta. We'll get news on that from John Akers now.
Lamine Yamal with the goal on the breakaway. Barcelona, it means they're top of the table, Barca, and it means that Atalanta slipped to 12th as it stands. Barcelona 1, Atalanta 0.
Yes, with Liverpool losing, they would be finishing second. De Bruyne now curls one in, looking for Haaland, headed away. Kovacic on the edge of the area, snatched at the shot, but shot straight into Michele, the left-sided central defender, and he was able to hack it away. City now roared on by this home crowd. Bernardo Silva, now Foden, left foot shot across the face of goal, but well wide actually, just inside the box, but couldn't get it on target.
Yeah, it's more like it from Phil Foden, probably in a more familiar area coming in off that right-hand side, that sort of number 10 role, if you like, picking up the ball. Bernardo Silva fizzes it into him nice and quickly, gets on the half turn, and he so often shapes that, finds the far corner, but it went just over. But that's what the crowd needed, something to feed off, because it's getting tense now here at the Etihad.
Yeah, the Manchester City supporters have picked up the fact that their team need them here. As Kovacic driving run to the edge of the area, and the shot in! What a finish! What a goal from Kovacic! Kovacic to the rescue for Manchester City, and it's back level, 1-1. City are still going out, but they're back all square.
Yeah, it's exactly what they needed. Somebody just to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And Kovacic is receiving some massive hugs, pumps, high fives from his teammates right now, because he just literally took matters into his own hands by dribbling through the heart of Bruges. The gap's opened up, he's just dribbling onto his right foot, nothing fancy about it, and he passes it into the corner past Mingale. Big goal for Manchester City.
1-1 here. It doesn't get Manchester City out of the hole yet, but you can hear the noise, and this is going to be a real test for the Belgians here, because they've got the weight of the Manchester City support against them now. Manchester City with their tails up. Stones had the opportunity to equalise, but headed across the face of goal. But as Izzy Christiansen said, really, Mateo Kovacic has stepped up there, and he took it on himself. You know, a powerful run at the Bruges defence, right through them to the edge of the area, and then the low shot found the bottom corner.
Yeah, it was the space that Bruges have been so well marshalling all evening up to this point, and the gap just opened up, and Kovacic just saw it. He didn't pass the ball, he just carried on, dribbling through. It was almost far too easy from his perspective, almost baffling that Bruges allowed him to do that after such a compact first half.
A goal back for Shakhtar Donetsk, who are one of the teams that are going out tonight, as Bruges break through the middle, and that was an important challenge by Gvardiol. It might run for Van Aken, who hits the shot, but that was blocked, and eventually the offside flag goes up. It was Solis who broke through, and eventually the offside flag, and Pep Guardiola is going absolutely mad, and he is saying, how did you not see? How did the flag not come? He ran in front of the Bruges technical area, waving his arm in the air as if he was waving an assistance flag, and the Spanish referee, Jose Maria Sanchez, has walked across here and booked him, and still Guardiola is protesting to the fourth official about this, but he's been yellow carded, Pep Guardiola.
I think he needs to stop now, to be honest with you, because his behaviour, but I tell you what his behaviour is doing, and I wouldn't put it past him to have premeditated this action right now, in that it's actually lifted the crowd. As soon as he gets like that in his technical area, the crowd raises, the noise raises, and that is what Pep Guardiola needs right now from his team. He needs a little bit of impetus, an injection of energy to go and find that second goal.
And actually one of his assistants, Juan Malillo, has just come forward as well, and he's had a go at the fourth official too in his long grey Manchester City coat. 1-1 they score. Bruges coming forward, Van Aken, Solis, left foot shot straight at the goalkeeper. Ederson parries it away, almost bounced straight back to Solis, but crucially Mateus Nunes was alive to that and takes the ball out to the far side and wins a throw in. But again, the threat from Bruges.
Yeah, absolutely. Solis has looked so sharp on that left-hand side, and again showing it. You asked how Bruges are going to respond, John. They have responded really well. They've been attacking, they've been front-footed, they've started to squeeze up the pitch, and it's actually creating a bit of a game now, because in the first half it was somewhat subdued.
Yes, the atmosphere, well, you can hear it coming over the airwaves. 5 Live from the BBC. If you're on the move, take us with you tonight, for goodness sake, with all of these changes and the scores, meaning that the table, the teams are going up and down right now. Barcelona would be the top seeds, the number one seeds. Doesn't change things at all really for Barcelona and Liverpool. They're just the other way around. They would still be on the separate sides of the draw. But Arsenal, with their 2-1 lead in Spain against Girona, Arsenal will be finishing third in the group. But Aston Villa, who led early on 2-0 against Celtic, who brought it back to 2-2, they would both be in the playoff round, so they would be playing a 2-leg tie next month to get into the round of 16. 5 Live from the BBC. Sports Extra has the Aston Villa Celtic commentary, and there is a Champions League match of the day on tonight after the news on BBC One. all the highlights for all of the matches will be on the iPlayer later, and we do have a Champions League final score tonight on the red button and the iPlayer and the BBC Sport website with all of the graphics and the video print. I can tell you Barrow 1, Doncaster 2 is the latest score in League 2. A goal back for Barrow, but Doncaster Rovers would be going second in the table. City on the attack. Kovacic, the Manchester City goal scorer, 5 now this season. Ball into the area for Haaland. Haaland wriggling, trying to find a position. The ball's bounced off the defender, McKaylee. It's out of play for a corner to Manchester City from the right, is he?
Yeah, they've just worked it up to Haaland in the box. They've just dinked the ball in. Haaland's been really clever the way that he's used his body and strength just to prise off the defence, and he's won himself a corner, or his team if you like. But this is where City really need to capitalise now. They've really got to gather this momentum that's building and use it to their advantage.
Just to confirm, Borussia Dortmund 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 1, so goal back for the Ukrainians, but they have to win. Corner then to Brugge, aiming for Gvardiol, but that was headed away. That was a brave header from McKaylee ahead of him. It comes back to Bernardo Silva, left-footed cross. Van Aken was heading that one away for Bruges. Comes back again. Kovacic once more went in on the edge of the box, rattled around. Savinho couldn't get there, and the goal scorer, the Bruges goal scorer, Onyedika, cleared. Comes back over the top again for Manchester City. Savinho touches it to Bernardo Silva, and the little Portuguese who's being chased away by Joaquin Seis, the Bruges right back, and forcing him to play it back to the halfway line to Akanji. In the Women's FA Cup, Liverpool now 4-0 up at West Ham. Lucy Parry with the 4th one for Liverpool as De Bruyne onto his left foot, shoots, goalkeeper Mignolet juggles it, but it bounces out to a teammate in De Kuyper, who is able to find a teammate, and that's a nice flick through the middle from Jutla. Solis is able to carry it on. The number 8, the Greek international, to the edge of the box, left foot shot, just wide of the foot of the post. So close to Bruges retaking the lead.
Oh, well. Again, the counter-attack, the transition from Bruges is exceptional. The way they work the ball through the midfield. Kovacic was on the floor. The ball had gone past him. And it's that man, Solis, driving down the centre of Manchester City's defence again. I think Bruges had an overload 4v3, and the ball just drifted just wide of Ederson's post in slow motion. He was rooted to the ground. That could have been key.
PSG are romping it now in Germany against Stuttgart, who are 4-0 down. Kovacic to Foden in the box. Foden turns it to Savinho just outside the Bruges penalty area. The score is still 1-1 here. So Manchester City going out, they have to win. But here's a chance for De Bruyne, who volleys it, a bouncing shot, 12 yards out. Defenders in the way, dragged it wide, hands through his hair, goal kick Bruges.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 strikes De Bruyne has had in this game so far. They've all been on his left foot. Now, not me saying he's not competent on his left foot one little bit, but had they been on his right foot, I'm telling you, I would have backed them to be in the back of the net.
Very important equaliser for Milan, who are down to 10 men, but Pulisic has scored. It's Dinamo Zagreb 1, Milan 1, so Milan are back up into the automatic, into the round of 16 places, the top 8. They are 7th in the table, Milan, with that equaliser, as the ball is played through the middle for Bruges, but Ederson is able to come out to the edge of the penalty area. There's a little push and shove with De Kuyper, but it all calms down. So 1-1 here. Let's go back to Villa Park and find out what's going on with you, Chris Cole.
Still Villa 2, Celtic 2. Villa pushing for a goal that would take them back into the top 8. Good Bailey run, but a poor final cross. Celtic looking good on the break themselves. Both are heading into the playoffs with scores as they are. Villa 2, Celtic 2.
Another one for Liverpool in the Women's FA Cup. They're winning 5-0 at West Ham now. Manchester City trying to build something again. Yeah, this is absolute edge of your seat stuff here in the Champions League, because every time Bruges come forward, but now Savinho through to Gvardiol, plays it across, it's an own goal. Manchester City are in front, sliding in. Ordóñez couldn't keep it out. All he could do was deflect it into his own goal, and Manchester City have turned it around, and this scoreline saves them in the Champions League for another day in the round next month. Manchester City 2, Club Brugge 1.
Oh, this is all about Gvardiol and Savinho, who came on at half-time. They worked the ball left, and it's a wonderful little slip pass into the space for Gvardiol to jump across. He fizzes it across the 6-yard line, and this causes the damage, really, because Ordóñez defending the front post space. He has to affect the ball, and he affects it by putting it into the back of his own net. If it wasn't him, somebody else would have tapped it in, perhaps Haaland. But that is brilliant play from Manchester City, patient and effective.
Pep Guardiola, I mean, there's an angry response from Pep Guardiola, who turned here. I'm told from people down on the touchline that he's got self-inflicted scratches on his head again tonight after they came in 1-0 down. And here he turned and he stamped all over the drinks boxes down on the side of the pitch. He kicked them repeatedly with the sole of his foot. But City are in front, and City are doing what they had to do to go through to the playoff round. But my goodness me, they're in a real tussle here. It's not over yet.
It's certainly not over. Everyone that's watched City this season will know that they are actually somewhat more vulnerable now at 2-1 up than they were at 1-1. Bruges have got it in them to find something in this, but it'll be so interesting to see how Manchester City now start to see this game out. What do they do? Do they slow it down? Do they keep going for a third? Let's see.
Well, the Champions League winners of 2023, Manchester City, now find themselves in the heady spot, Izzy, of 22nd in the league. They've jumped up to 22nd, Manchester City, but that means a playoff place, so they'll be in the playoffs, as will Real Madrid. Julia Bold.
Yes, Brest 0, Real Madrid 2. Jude Bellingham with the goal. It means Real Madrid are up to 10th above Bayern Munich. Brest are down to 20th. So Brest 0, Real Madrid 2.
And Lille now 3-1 up on Feyenoord. That's one of the stories of the night, that Lille will be in the top 8 into the round of 16 as Kevin De Bruyne is bundled over. That's a free kick forward of the centre circle. Manchester City now leading by 2-1. 1-0 down at half-time to the Onyedika goal just before the break. But Kovacic and that own goal from Ordóñez mean that Manchester City are in front, and this would be enough to take City through. Kovacic playing it to Haaland. They'd love another one. They'd love a cushion as Haaland tried to play it into the path of Foden, but beyond him. And De Kuyper is going to allow it to roll over the dead ball line for a goal kick. Izzy Christiansen.
Yeah, I'm just watching Pep actually on the touchline. He is in constant dialogue with the fourth official, and I don't know, he's on a yellow card already. He needs to be careful. He really does need to be careful, because you just never know in this competition, you know, what might flick the switch for the referees. But he's trying to bring the atmosphere up, and it's working, to be honest with you.
There's a slip at the back from Yashari. Haaland was onto it. Now De Bruyne still in the middle of the half. Onyedika, lovely pass into the path of Foden, who ran into Mikel. I don't think he's got a case for a penalty there, even though the crowd shouted for it. But Bruges breaking away through the middle, passing the ball to the right-hand side to Calby. To Villa Park, Chris Coles.
Villa are back in front, and with it back into the top 8. A swift counter-attack. Jacob Ramsey, square to Ollie Watkins. Into the net it goes. Villa 3, Celtic 2.
And Aston Villa, with that, once the table refreshes itself, we'll see that they are 7th in the table. So with that goal, Aston Villa move back into the top 8 and would be into the round of 16 in March. Harry Kane has scored for Bayern Munich tonight. So Bayern Munich leading 2-0 against Slovan Bratislava. Bayern Munich currently in 11th place, so they'll be in the playoffs. So right now, Liverpool losing their first dropped points in this Champions League phase. 3-2 down against PSV. Barcelona would be topping the table, Liverpool finishing second, Arsenal in third. Aston Villa back up into 7th place. You'll hear that match on Sports Extra right now with Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton via BBC Sounds or your digital radio. And here is he, as we say, this is not done yet.
No, it's precariously perched, I think I would describe it as, because Manchester City just don't look yet like they've managed to withdraw all the control from the game and just kind of dictate, because Bruges looks such a threat on the counter-attack.
There is another very significant goal in the AC Milan match. Is that what you're going to tell us, John Bennett?
Yes, this is a big goal from the Aston Villa perspective. Dinamo Zagreb 2, AC Milan 1. Piaka with the goal. AC Milan then dropping down to 12th place. That is great news for Aston Villa.
Yes, and that would mean that Dinamo Zagreb would be into the playoff places. They would be in 24th, the last playoff place. Savinho now with a burst. Left foot cross, but Mignolet will come and catch that ball. That sounds like quite a match. Zagreb against Milan. Now that is an intimidating place to go, and Milan are down to 10 men, and Aston Villa still leading by 3 goals to 2. So Villa, instead of Milan, would be in the top 8 places. That top 8 at the moment, the automatic qualifiers for the round of 16: Barcelona, Liverpool, Arsenal, Inter, Atletico Madrid, who are winning handsomely tonight, Leverkusen, Aston Villa and Lille. But that is all very much subject to change in the next half hour or so. Atletico Madrid now 4-0 up in Salzburg, with Llorente scoring their latest goal for Diego Simeone's side. So we are into the final quarter of the match now here. Manchester City searching for that 3rd goal that would bring them a modicum of comfort. Onyedika, however, for Bruges, slips the ball down the right looking for the run of Calby, but Gvardiol was in position to put it out of play, and we're going to see the first Bruges change of the night. Their coach, Nicky Hayen, has got his arm around Hugo Vetlesen, the Norwegian international teammate of Erling Haaland, so he will be coming on into the midfield. Bruges passing it out from the back with Mignolet, now out towards De Kuyper, and then here on the halfway line, Mekela. I've not seen him venture too far forwards, but he is continuing with that, as Van Aken now with a pass to Talby on the right hand side. Talby up against Gvardiol. Talby drives it in at the near post, and Ederson had to be sharp there. The goalkeeper was, though, and was able to drop down to his right and push it around the post.
Yeah, Talby has looked so good on this right hand side. Bruce switched the ball to him really well. He gets into a 1v1 with Gvardiol, who does really well to block the cross, but Talby, he just drops his shoulder, dinks the ball onto his right foot, and he fires it in like an arrow towards Ederson's near post. But Bruges, what have they got from this corner?
Yeah, well, they've got a corner, but they're also going to make a triple change. This is their first corner of the match for the Belgian champions, currently 2nd in the league. They've been dominant in recent seasons, and here they're giving Manchester City a right test. 2-1 down, City leading. Corner is a deep one, and then as it's headed back across, De Bruyne is able to just volley it away downfield. Bayer Leverkusen now 2-0 up against Sparta Prague. So Bayer Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen, in the top 8 places, and that means that they have a bit of breathing space. Right, we're going to see 3 changes, and Solis is one of them. That surprises me, and Schüttler as well. So the left winger and the centre forward are being substituted, and also all 3, the front 3, Talby as well, is he? That does surprise me.
Yeah, they've looked really, really good, but Hayen has definitely seen that there's an opportunity now to bring fresh legs on and just go at Manchester City's back 4 again. Brave move, but let's see if it pays off.
Yeah, Romeo Verment is the man who is the centre forward, the number 17, but he is Manchester City's number 17, Kevin De Bruyne, middle of the half. Kovacic, he will have another goal, but that flies away wide of the top right corner. I think for fans on the opposite side of the Etihad perhaps thought it was closer than it was, but it was a good effort.
Yeah, and all of a sudden Bruges are taking the goal kicks a little quicker than they were in the first half.
Well spotted. Skoras, the Polish international, is the other substitute to come on, and he's playing on the right hand side. So Skoras on the right, Vermant up front, and Vetlesen is the other Bruges player who's come on. So the triple change. Bruges 2-1 down, Manchester City leading, so Manchester City would be going through to the playoff round. They've moved above the dreaded elimination line up to 22nd as Bruges come forward. And here is Vetlesen now to the right hand side. The cross from Skoras, it's headed away for City, still on the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. De Bruyne beaten in the air by Onyedika. Back to Villa Park, Chris Coles.
Penalty to Aston Villa and a chance to strengthen their position inside the top 8, leading 3-2. Ollie Watkins to restore Villa's 2-goal lead. Oh, he slips! And it sails over the crossbar. And it remains Villa 3, Celtic 2, which is enough for Villa. But it could have been better.
Half a chance for Vermant here on the edge of the box. He turned and City were able to clear. De Bruyne now brings it forward. Low pass to Haaland with his back to goal. 30 yards out. Foden tried to give it back to De Bruyne, It was intercepted though by Score as the substitute. City come again though with Savinho. Young Boys 0, Red Star Belgrade 1, and Barcelona 1, Atalanta 1, an equaliser for Atalanta. So that will put Liverpool back to the top of the table, even though they are losing because Barcelona are drawing. So Liverpool finishing top, Barcelona second, Arsenal third, and Manchester City in the centre circle. We've got less than 20 minutes to play here at the Etihad. 20 minutes more to go of this last night, this thrilling last night of the league phase of the Champions League. More drama coming at the weekend when the Six Nations begins. 5 Live, the place into list of the commentaries, and it starts on Friday night. France-Wales, 8:15 kick-off Friday night on 5 Live. Ireland-England. Haaland wins it back, edge of the area. Mignolet saves. Savinho with a chance, and that's cleared off the line dramatically by Mekela. And it's the Bruges goal somehow survives. Still 2-1 City.
Oh, what a clearance that is by Mekela. But the first one, Haaland, great press by City. He just nicks the ball, pickpockets. He gets himself into a position where you'd back him to score 10 out of 10. Opens up his body, keeper saves it. Second phase on Savinho. It was Mekela with the clearance off the line. Big moment in the game.
That keeps it at 2-1, and it keeps Bruges in it. Inter now winning 3-0 against Monaco, so Inter cementing their place in the top 8. They are finishing 4th place in the table. Aston Villa, if you just switched on, Villa are back up. They spent a good part of the evening out of the top 8, but now back ahead against Celtic. Aston Villa going through to the round of 16th in 7th place in the table. Manchester City will be living on in the Champions League this season with this scoreline. Kovacic turns, bounces off Seyss, bounces back to the Bruges right back, who turns it back to Mignolet. Very good save, one-on-one with Haaland from him just now, and the long clearance downfield gives the ball back to Manchester City. So Atalanta currently would be missing out on a place in the top 8. Atalanta, Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Milan, PSV, Paris Saint-Germain, Benfica, all in the playoff round, is he? Some big hitters in there.
Wow. When's the draw?
The draw for the playoff round is on Friday morning at 11 o'clock UK time. But it is still subject to change. And right now, we mentioned it in the first half, but Liverpool finishing in the top 2 would play right now. If it stopped, Liverpool's opponents would be either Paris Saint-Germain, Benfica, Feyenoord or Monaco. But again, that I'm sure will change in the next 20 minutes or so. Manchester City, this is still not comfortable for them. They are searching for that third goal. Akanji, back in his own half, just rolls it back to goalkeeper Ederson. Significantly as well, we should point out that this is enough for Club Brugge to qualify as well for the playoff round. It is possible, obviously, with this scoreline for them to lose and still go through to the playoffs. In fact, they are 23rd and Manchester City are 22nd. But that could change if City are able to change the goal difference. Back to Villa Park, Chris Coles.
Villa are pushing for this 4th goal, still leading Celtic 3-2, but Ollie Watkins looking to make amends for his penalty miss, firing a presentable chance straight at Kasper Schmeichel. Villa 3, Celtic 2.
Manchester City back in possession. Manchester City, who go to Arsenal on Sunday. That's one of our 5 Live Premier League commentaries this weekend. Another test for them. They keep coming for Manchester City, and this has been a tough night for them. They will be able to play Marmoush, of course, on Sunday, and the other new signings as John Stones rolls a pass forward to Haaland. There's Foden over there on the right-hand side. City, who were 1-0 down here tonight, but the second half goals from Kovacic and the Ordóñez own goal that was forced by Gvardiol means that they are back where they need to be, winning this match. And John Stones, who has been put under pressure by Vermaat. Another goal in the Barcelona-Atalanta match. John Akers.
Barcelona are back ahead. Barcelona 2, Atalanta 1, which means that Barcelona go back above Liverpool into top spot, and Atalanta drop to 13th. Barca 2, Atalanta 1.
Savinho chesting down in the area. chance, shoots underneath, Mignolet, and makes it 3-1. And it seems that City have saved themselves in the Champions League. The jitters were on when they were 1-0 down at half-time, but that's a very good finish from Savinho. Excellent skill. Shoots under Mignolet, and it's Manchester City 3, Club Brugge 1.
He's changed the game, Savinho. He had an assignment to do at half-time, pretty much in short, sort it out, and that's exactly what he's done. He's been involved in the second goal. He's just scored the third goal. What a finish, what a ball. It's John Stones, fizzes the ball from right to left. Lovely fade on the pass, and it's all about Savinho's first touch. He chests it beyond Says, the right back for Bruges, and that just takes it into the box in a wonderful position. He arrows it downwards past Mignolet. Massive goal for Manchester City, and I did see Guardiola smile.
Well, in the first half, when Onyedika scored, I don't know whether you saw his reaction then when he absolutely collapsed back into his chair. He's gone through the whole range of emotions tonight, Pep Guardiola. I think he's gone through the whole range of emotions this season. But 3-1, I think City can breathe, can't they?
I think they can. I think they can. Based on recent results, perhaps you'd say no, they can't, but I do think they're now in control.
Doesn't change where Manchester City are in the table, still in 22nd place in the table, and City with the ball in their own left-back position right now. So up at the other end of the table, Liverpool and Arsenal in second and third right now with the scores as they are. Arsenal still winning 2-1 in Spain, Waneri one of their scorers tonight, and Liverpool still losing. Conor McNamara?
Yes, 18 minutes to go. PSV 3, Liverpool 2. 5 goals in the first half, none yet in the second period. With Barcelona leading Atalanta again, as we've heard. Liverpool losing in the Netherlands. Liverpool slipping to second. PSV 3, Liverpool 2.
Yeah, John Southall is keeping tabs on Arsenal.
Girona 2, Arsenal 2. They've just pulled one back, John. It shouldn't affect Arsenal finishing in the top 8, or I'm pretty sure it won't. They still remain in that 5th place in the top 8, but it is Girona 2, Arsenal 2.
And things going Villa's way with you, Chris Coles, at Villa Park, but they can't breathe safely yet, can they?
They certainly can't, John, because Celtic still carry a threat, and Adam Eade has just had another good chance. Right foot shot, well saved by Martinez. Another Celtic goal would drop Villa out of the top 8. Villa 3, Celtic 2.
Great night for Lille. Jonathan David scored to make it 4-1 against Feyenoord, and those two teams, they started the night in 12th and 11th, but Lille are in the top 8. They would be finishing in 8th, whereas Feyenoord dropping down to 19th, and they would be one of the unseeded teams in the draw on Friday morning. Another change for Manchester City, is he? Kevin De Bruyne now with a 3-1 lead, and Arsenal to come on Sunday. He's coming off, and Rico Lewis coming on.
Yeah, he's been starved a little of his normal gameplay, De Bruyne, but just the fact that he is on the pitch carries such a weight and such a threat to the opposition. And it was interesting, as Savinho scored that third goal, De Bruyne didn't jog over to the far corner where they celebrated. He walked towards the bench, perhaps to give that signal to say, can you give me a breather now?
John Southall, we thought Arsenal had been pegged back.
Girona 1, Arsenal 2. Christian Stuani at the back post, as he tapped it in, was offside, so it remains Girona 1, Arsenal 2.
So that means that Arsenal still in third place, Liverpool in second, Aston Villa in 7th. Celtic would be finishing in 21st, just above Manchester City, so both of them unseeded in that draw on Friday. Lewis coming on for Kevin De Bruyne. Sporting have equalised against Bologna. Remember, Bologna were one of the 9 teams that were already heading out before tonight. 9 teams knew that they weren't able to make the playoff round. Bologna were one of them, but Sporting with the equaliser, so Sporting would be in the playoff round. Right now it would be Dinamo Zagreb who would be going out. Even though they're winning, Dinamo Zagreb against Milan, that equaliser drops Dinamo Zagreb back into the elimination places. So Dinamo Zagreb would be going out with Stuttgart and Shakhtar Donetsk. It's finished Arsenal 5, Bristol City 0 in the Women's FA Cup. And I should point out as well, by the way, that we're doing it all again tomorrow night in the Europa League, just like this tomorrow night, with our team. Ali Bruce Ball and Paul Robinson are in Romania. They've gone to Bucharest today for FCSB, former Steaua Bucharest, against Manchester United. But Tottenham, Elfsborg, Rangers, Union Saint-Gilloise, we will have coverage of those matches. And Test match special on the air during the night on Sports Extra for the first day of the Australia-England Women's Ashes Test. But at 3-1 to Manchester City, it does have it has a more settled feel around the Etihad Stadium, doesn't it?
That's right. Rico Lewis has come on for De Bruyne into the centre midfield, just, to be busy, just to add numbers around, keep the ball moving, circulating, wait for Bruges to jump out and press, because Bruges do need to start jumping out of their structure now, just to go for it a little. That'll open up the gaps. But Pep Guardiola thinking probably ahead now to Sunday against Arsenal in that massive game in the Premier League.
Borussia Dortmund with a third goal, Ben Sebaini, for the runners-up last season, the runners-up at Wembley. Borussia Dortmund winning 3-1 against Shakhtar Donetsk, but they are in 9th, so just outside the automatic places. Aston Villa now dropped down to 8th, so Villa in the last of the automatic places for the round of 16. Lille winning, and that's because Lille are now winning 5-1, so there's a change in the goal difference there. In fact, goal difference is the same. Lille are ahead of Aston Villa, I'm presuming, on goals scored. So Lille 7th, Aston Villa 8th in the table. Stuttgart have got a goal back against Paris Saint-Germain. The Paris Saint-Germain going through, Stuttgart going out. Sabinho, ball played over the top for him. Sabinho squares it, couldn't find Haaland, and it runs all the way actually over to Mateus Nunes. Mateus Nunes in the full-back position. We're going to bring in John Akers again with more on Barcelona, Atalanta. John?
It's 2-2, Barcelona 2, Atalanta 2, which means that Liverpool go back to the top of the table above Barcelona, and Atalanta are just sitting behind Aston Villa now in 9th, Aston Villa 8th, Barca 2, Atalanta 2.
Yes, that's still not good enough for Atalanta. They're still missing out on the last 16. Aston Villa are still in there in 8th place. Barrel 1, Doncaster 3. Another goal for Luke Molyneux, so Doncaster Rovers going up to 2nd in League 2, and Manchester City in possession inside the Bruges half. It's been a fraught night, hasn't it, at the Etihad Stadium, with Manchester City really huffing and puffing in the first half, and then Bruges taking the lead just before the break. That left City with a lot to do, but it looks as though they've done it, is it?
Yeah, they've done it the hard way, if you like. But I do think at half-time, the change, bringing Savinho on just to kind of hug this left-hand touchline and cause Bruges' backline something to think about with that space and pace that he's got in behind. And I think Gvardiol as well has been absolutely excellent in finding those spaces for Savinho, and that's what's essentially opened up the game for City and found those 2 extra goals.
We're into the last 5 minutes now, and I think many spectators have also decided that City have done their job. It's a school night, isn't it? So I think quite a few families are just heading towards the exits. Another goal in the Brest-Real Madrid match. Julia Bold?
It's Brest 0, Real Madrid 3. Rodrigo with his 2nd of the night. It means Real Madrid are 11th above Bayern, Brest are 18th. Brest 0, Real Madrid 3.
So Real Madrid heading into the playoff draw as well. And Manchester City with the ball on the far side. Rico Lewis, the substitute. Juventus 0, Benfica 2. So Benfica, who are in some danger tonight, but are now up into 16th place in the table. Juventus in 20th, so both will be in the playoffs. And Lyon now remarkably winning 6-1 against Feyenoord, and so that obviously strengthens their position, and they are now back above Aston Villa on goal difference as opposed to goals scored. Bayern Munich now 3-0 up on Slovan Bratislava. Kingsley Coman, Champions League winning goal scorer Kingsley Coman, and Bayern Munich in 11th and Real Madrid in 12th. But Manchester City now just keeping possession, is he?
Yeah, they're just switching the ball left to right, right to left. Bruges not really biting at all. Manchester City very, very happy for these last 3 minutes or so, plus additional time just to circulate the ball and just get Bruges just putting those extra kilometres in the legs.
Let's go back to Villa Park and Chris Coles.
Villa still leading Celtic by 3-2 with 8 minutes to play. Morgan Rogers has just missed a good chance for his hat-trick. A good save by Kasper Schmeichel. Celtic are still not out of this. If they equalise, Villa drop out of the top 8. Villa 3, Celtic 2.
Now, by my calculations, Izzy, just had a little look about who might play who in the playoff round. And Manchester City currently in 22nd and Celtic in 21st. By my calculations, either Celtic or Manchester City would play the teams in 12th and 11th, who are Real Madrid and Bayern Munich.
Well.
So Celtic and Manchester City would play Bayern Munich and Real Madrid in the playoff round.
As it stands.
Okie
doke.
Somebody will tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right.
I would bank on you to be spot on.
Manchester City leading Bruges by 3-1. So if Manchester City want to move themselves out of 22nd, then they need to score. In fact, with the scores as they are, they can't go any higher. That 22nd is the highest that Manchester City can go to.
I was about to say, if you were about to say they need to score again, I wondered whether that message had hit the bench. But obviously it hadn't, and that is not the case.
They can't change it.
The case.
They can't change it. Now, obviously Celtic could change it if they are able to get themselves level against Aston Villa. That match is on Sports Extra, by the way, with Villa still just hanging on in 8th place with the scoreline 3-2 against Celtic. Villa will be going through to the round of 16, but a Celtic goal would change it. So you can hear that on Sports Extra right now. That, I think, is where the drama is right now. But we're in the 90th minute now. It's been an entertaining night here, I have to say. Bruges have played their part. They've been very good.
They certainly have. There's been ebbs and flows, hasn't there?
This is going to be their first defeat since October. First defeat in any competition since they lost to Milan in the early stages of this Champions League group. And they were winning 1-0 at half-time, but Kovacic, the own goal, and Savinho, that was the clincher. We might well cross to Villa Park and Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton for the final minutes. But Manchester City, as more people climb to their feet and head out into the Manchester night air, the new stand is really taking shape behind the goal. I went round there myself a little earlier today. The big new hotel as well. There are cranes all over the place. They're going to put another 7,000 on the crowd here with the new stand. And Manchester City, it won't be open in time for the latter stages of the Champions League, but they've been given an enormous fright, Manchester City. 1 minute of added time, that's all that they have to wait on for. And I think we can say with some confidence now, as a couple of pigeons decide that they're going to come and have a look at what's going on and land on the side of the pitch, Manchester City have dug themselves out of the Champions League hole that they were in. It became a deeper hole here tonight, but the second half performance was just what was needed, and Manchester City just keeping possession inside their own territory. 30 seconds to play here. The Manchester City supporters in good voice, but the Bruges fans in great voice as well in their section. The last couple of times that they've been here, the only couple of times, they've been absolutely hammered. Not a bit of it tonight. They've really played their part.
They've put an excellent account of themselves, extremely well coached, and there was just a moment of acknowledgement there between Guardiola and Hayen in the dugout just before the whistle goes.
Haaland to Foden, who shoots down to Mignolet's left, but he's able to get down there and make the save. The 36-year-old Bruges goalkeeper. But there's the final whistle here at the Etihad, and Pep Guardiola walks forward, head bowed, and clenches both fists. He was confident. He was very confident that his players would do the job tonight. Well, they were under real pressure at half-time when they were 1-0 down to that Onyedika goal. But they stepped up, Manchester City, and they scored 3 times in the second half. Kovacic with the equaliser, that own goal that was forced by Guardiola, and then the clincher from substitute Savinho. We'll have more from here at the Etihad before 10:30 on 5 Live tonight. We'll hear more from Izzy Christiansen as well in the latter part of the programme. But we are going, first of all, right now to... It is Villa Park.